Good morning and welcome to a brand new edition of the Demoy Factor. I have always maintained on this program that nothing in politics happens out of mere coincidence. Every move you see on the board is well thought through, well calculated, and intended to meet a specific objective. The differences in who succeeds and who fails depends on the quality of execution. Yesterday, Alexander B. Cummings appeared before court and was released on a criminal appearance bond. This showed coordination between the deep state and Joseph Nimabwakai, with Bernard Ure playing the frontal role. What are we witnessing here? The deep state, headed by Nathaniel McGill, has decided that they will take in whoever lose the fight for CPP, they will take that person and make them a project. The loser of the battle for CPP is Ambassador Joseph Nimabwakai. He is on his back foot. The way you know who is losing in politics is you look at who is taking the most desperate measures. A politician in a winning position is usually calm and confident and doesn't go above and beyond. Extreme tactics like the ones we are witnessing is only as a result of desperation, panic, and anxiety. Let's look at the shape of things. As it currently stands, United Party has 1 foot in the CPP and 1 foot out because they have a signed resolution that says they are going to leave the CPP. ALP also has the same institutionally. Liberty Party and the ANC are the two parties that are fully members of the CPP. Joseph Nimabwakai could fight or he could flee. His advisors decided that there is no way that they believe they can win a competitive primary with Alexander Cummings. So they chose not to fight. They chose to flee. And as they are fleeing, they must go to the elections without those 3 letters, CPP. And this is a political disadvantage. It will take the Unity Party and its new allies almost the entire 2022 to put together a new electoral alliance, to find new political parties that want to work with them, because it's not enough. Bernard Ure does not have enough of a base. Nyomli Kanga Lawrence cannot deliver Grand Basso on her own. There are people she will depend on, stakeholders that she will depend on to help her win any election in Grand Basso. Are those stakeholders willing to play along? Is she, for example, able to get Charlene Bromskin to campaign for her preferred candidate? Can she, for example, get all of the former Liberty Party lawmakers in Grand Basso to campaign with her and bring behind her their constituencies? How long is she going to choose? How long is she going to keep Jonathan Kape? Because for what I hear, Jonathan Kape is actually making a deal with the CDC. So Nyomli has a shaky ground in Grand Basso. Abraham Darius Dillon has been badly damaged as a campaign asset. Badly damaged. It was so important to the Monserrato senator that he had a New Year's Day interview and he spoke about how he regretted lying about his plane ticket. This being caught in a lie has discredited Dillon as far as getting votes is concerned. Whatever popularity Dillon has today is probably because he is rooting for Joseph Boakai and Joseph Boakai's supporters will lend him their voice. Believe me, if Darius Dillon was to wake up tomorrow morning, and said, I don't believe in Joseph Boakai any longer, he will fall flat. And what Joseph Boakai really needs is someone who can extend his influence, not someone who is utilizing and riding on his influence. He needs an additional vote getter. That role Dillon cannot play. The only person in the CPP that can give Joseph Newman Boakai votes that he never had before is Alexander Cummings, with a proven voting base of over 100,000. That continues to grow. 100,000 that he captured with less than 2 years of campaigning. Now he's been in politics in some almost 8 years. And so Alexander Cummings is the only person that if Joseph Newman Boakai collaborated with, he could have a base expansion. Musa Hassan Belete can extend Alexander Cummings' base. Why? Musa Hassan Belete is well regarded in the Muslim and Mandingo community. Let's be honest. This is why Unity Party chose Musa Hassan Belete as their campaign manager in Monserrato. This is why Charles Walker Blumsky chose Musa Hassan Belete as campaign manager for Monserrato. This is why George Manewia was very excited when he had Musa Hassan Belete's support in 2014 senatorial elections. Make no mistake. And as the horses line up, Joseph Boakai have found that no, we don't have any advantage from the moves we have made. Because if things remain as they are, and ALP and the Unity Party exit and leave ANC and the Liberty Party, ANC and the Liberty Party will attract at least 2 new political parties that have gravitas and have following, and they will bring hundreds of politicians from the district level all the way to the county level. These are people that will line up and extend the reach of the CPP. And all Joseph Boakai has is ALP and Dillon and Yomli. So what you saw in court yesterday, or what you are hearing in the press about Alexander Cummings being persecuted by UA, is simply Joseph Newman Boakai falling into the trap of the deep state. George Manewia's role he's going to play here is, if the CPP fight is over and someone has lost and the person is better, I'm going to try to use them to undermine the winner of the CPP fight. In this case, the winner of the CPP fight is Alexander Cummings. If 2 of us fighting over a shoe and you walk away from the shoe, I have won. I have won because the competition was who will bear the CPP flag at the election. And Joseph Newman Boakai did not also succeed in removing the majority of the political parties. He did not succeed in removing the majority of the political parties from the CPP. So now you have a two parties each way split. The problem for Joseph Numa Boakai is that it's difficult for him to recruit additional party into his fold. Why? Because politicians do not make these decisions without benefits. Any new party that is coming on board will demand something. Either demand to be on the ticket or demand that you finance the party operation and that you finance candidates running on their ticket. Joseph Boakai does not have money, and Joseph Numa Boakai has already promised this running mate position to two persons. There's a silent operator in the race for the vice presidency who is Ibrahim Daras Dillon. All the helping that Dillon is helping Nyomli is strategy. It's strategy. Dillon is quietly trying to gain the confidence of the old man in this entire process as an individual, dangling his Monserrado votes. But I submit to you that if Joseph Numa Boakai makes that blunder, he will live to regret it, because Ibrahim Daras Dillon is absolutely discredited. You see, anything that comes easy also goes easy. Easy comes, easy go. Just as Dillon popularity came easy as a matter of fortune, it is also disappearing easily as a matter of misfortune. Self-perpetuated, by the way. So Joseph Numa Boakai is in a disadvantaged position. Because of his disadvantage, let me just take you through a number of things. Number one, they tried to suppress Alexander Cummings using the internal mechanism of the CPP to pin a crime on him internally. They were unable to get consensus to do this. They went and brought about a voting method, the so-called black voting. It failed. They introduced several things against Cummings. It didn't work. They tried to intimidate him when the National Executive Committee of the Liberty Party favored him. So Cummings and Boakai deployed two different strategies in the Liberty Party. Cummings' strategy was, I'm going to work with the executives. I'm taking an institutional approach. Joseph Numa Boakai's strategy was, strike the shepherd and the sheep will follow. Joseph Numa Boakai did an analysis of the Liberty Party that was deeply, deeply flawed. His analysis was that Nyomli Kanga Lawrence is the most popular woman in the Liberty Party. And therefore, if I capture Nyomli and I capture Dillon, then I've captured the Liberty Party. I don't need to talk to Imenipake Dumoy. I don't need to go talk to Elder Jala. I don't need to go and talk to Martin Kula. I don't need to go and talk to Rugi Barry. I don't need to go and talk to Charlene Bromsky. I don't need to go and talk to Musa Hassan Belete. I don't need to go and talk to a Dr. Spear. I don't need to go and talk to Yogi. I don't need to go and talk to all of these county chairpersons. I will take a wholesale approach. Cummings said, no, I will take a retail approach. I will approach executives working along with Musa Hassan Belete to campaign on my own behalf. Joseph Numa Boakai's strategy failed. He was unable to capture the Liberty Party through Dillon and Nyomli. And this is because he didn't have proper intelligence. He did not have proper intelligence. For me, I've been in the Liberty Party 6 years now. And so 6 years of being in the Liberty Party, I know the players. I've taken my time to study people. Nyomli Kanga Lawrence is not the natural leader of the Liberty Party. She is not a team player. Nyomli Kanga Lawrence was not even a serious Liberty Party person until there was a by-election in Grand Bassa after the death of Whitfield. Whitfield, the former Secretary General of the National Patriotic Party. Whitfield had passed after winning the senatorial election in 2011. Nyomli was working at the LPRC. Nyomli was not a partisan person. Nyomli was not someone who was in the party, sacrificing for the party. No. You got people like Israel Akinsanya, you got people like J. Funati Kofa, who had, really sacrificed for the party, who had been around. There are gurus in Liberty Party that you don't see in the front page. She, for example, she is not as important as Kamina Abdallah. She's not. There are strong women who bankrolled Liberty Party. All of these stakeholders were not properly consulted. In fact, they were disrespected by Joseph Newman Parker. Bromsky had a think tank. I am not going to give you the names of everybody, but Alexander Cummings had superb intelligence. The different layers of Liberty Party. There are people in the Liberty Party that play a fundraising role. There is also those people that Bromsky listened to in terms of advice. Then there are people who play a spiritual role. Bromsky was a very good Christian. There is the religious arm to Liberty Party. The good fortune of Nyomli Kanga Lawrence was that her father had a long-standing relationship with Charles Walker Bromsky. Nyomli did not appear to Bromsky as an ambitious person. She hid her ambition. Nyomli was placed in a position as political leader as a result of the trust and confidence that Bromsky had in her father, Abba Kanga, a well-regarded man in Grand Bassa, especially in the religious movement, evangelical movement. Among Bassa prelates, he is number one. And because of the fact that she's the daughter of Abba Kanga, she was fielded on the Liberty Party ticket to stand for that election. In that election, she defeated Daniel Chie, the former defense minister, and became a senator. But she was not someone who was playing a top role in the party. Administratively, Nyomli was not a front bencher. Nyomli Kanga Lawrence was not a front bencher. She was not even someone that Bromsky had any serious confidence in. And so when the 2017 election passed and Charles Walker Bromsky was looking for a placeholder, Nyomli became a political leader. When Bromsky found his bearings and sought to peddle his way back to the political leader position, Nyomli launched a hostile campaign against Bromsky, spreading lies using Abraham Taras Dillon. And so most Bromskys had ardent supporters in the Liberty Party do not like Nyomli. Period. Do not like Nyomli. So Joseph Numa Boaka grossly miscalculated that as soon as I got Nyomli, I got the Liberty Party. No. Nyomli had been struggling to get a corporation of Liberty Party gurus. She lacks the popularity that Joseph Numa Boaka calculated. So, in this great game for Liberty Party, Boaka takes the individual approach. Cummings takes the institutional approach. Cummings allies in the Liberty Party, controls the party as an institution. They have the National Elections Commission recognition. They have the cooperation of all the party executives across the county. Nyomli and Dillon are left in the cold, and they can only offer themselves. They can only offer up themselves to Joseph Numa Boaka. So the government of George Manneh Weah sees that the Joseph Numa Boaka side is getting weak and that they have lost or they are losing. And so the government has offered to work with them. Because in order for Joseph Numa Boaka to sell, because there's also pressure on him from his family, I understand his son is the one leading the charge, that is the one in charge of negotiating an exit for his father, a retirement package from politics. But even if you are to get a retirement package, you cannot be in a hopeless position and get a retirement package. And this is, I want those of you who support Joseph Numa Boaka, I want you to take your time and listen to this. This is what you are being used for. You are being used to keep Boaka looking viable. Keep Boaka looking viable. To prepare him for purchase. Even if the government wants to give Boaka money to stay out of the election, or to keep him in as a way of taking away votes from Cummings, whichever deal that will be signed with Joseph Numa Boaka, he has to appear viable. And the information we are getting is that Joseph Numa Boaka does not have the support of the Unity Party in exiting the CPP agreement. I am told bribes were paid, that Ure and them paid bribes to county chairpersons that were brought to town to sign that resolution, and that it is not a popular move. So Boaka has two problems. Members of his executives are not happy with the move to leave the CPP. Some of them are threatening to lead a revolt and that he may be booted out. Then people who want to give the Papa a little dollar here and there are not happy, because most Liberians believe that without a united force, George Manneh Weah will win, that it is automatic. And so Joseph Boaka is torn now. Does he go with the hardliners led by Bernard Ure and others who are insisting that people in Liberia don't vote for party, they only vote for individual? And he, Joseph Newman Boakai, is the individual that is important. The Unity Party, the CPP, everything is subservient. And those who are telling him, mind you, the CPP has created a base. There's a voting base who may not understand. And they will go to the poll and vote for CPP regardless of who is on the ballot. This desperation is the basis for Unity Party cooperation with the president. So the government has said, listen, you don't like Alexander Cummings, we don't like Alexander Cummings either. Why? He's getting stronger. And so can we work together to see how we can undermine Cummings? And JMB says, sure. And then there is another thing at play here. As we are in 2022, anybody that's running for president or running for representative, this is the time you start moving your forces. This is the time you start opening county offices. This is the time your auxiliaries are launching campaign activities. Begins this year. But Joseph Numa Boakai does not have campaign funds. And so this strategy by Uri that is supported by the government also gave Joseph Numa Boakai breathing room. That's why when you hear Dillon and hear all of them talking, they say by March, we'll make a decision by March. They want breathing room. But what I see is going to happen from the Alexander Cummings side is that they will not give Joseph Boakai any breathing room. First of all, the legal barrier that they have put before Cummings is a flimsy one. It's a very flimsy one. So lawyers will keep going to the court. They will turn it to legal football. It doesn't stop the CPP from moving ahead. They will move to reconstitute the CPP leadership because Joseph Numa Boakai has announced that he's leaving. That means now the position of chairman of CPP is vacant. Joseph Numa Boakai is no longer the chairman of CPP. He's leaving. His party has announced they are exiting. So the next move will be for us to put Cummings in there as the chairman and standard bearer of the CPP. Period. Or we make we formalize. We have a CPP convention, an early CPP convention, at which Cummings is declared the standard bearer by consensus. So we'll follow the framework document as two parties now, and we'll go to a CPP convention. We'll go to NEC and tell NEC we have gone to a convention. That convention will be attended by Liberty Party and by ANC. If by that time there's a new member that exceeds, that subscribes to the agreement, they will also attend. And Cummings will be coronated as the standard bearer by consensus. Musa Hassan Belete, political leader of the Liberty Party, mind you, Nyomli Kanga Lawrence suspension is still in force. And in the interim, which is the absence of Nyomli Kanga Lawrence automatically makes Musa Hassan Belete acting political leader. In that position, he can serve as chairman of the CPP. Musa Hassan Belete, chairman of the CPP. And of course, Alexander Benedict Cummings, standard bearer of the CPP. And the CPP start having meetings. And the CPP start having rallies. And the CPP start having activities. That's it. And if members of the Unity Party who are not happy with the way Joseph Numa Boakai is going, if they choose to start to defect, some of them may choose to remain in the Unity Party and endorse Cummings. We will hold massive programs to welcome them. And then we start appointing our campaign team. And we start moving ahead, opening campaign offices, opening party, collaboration offices across the country. We start welcoming in people who are running for representatives. We start bringing in strong independent candidates. Strong independent candidates from across the country joining the CPP. Mobilization and recruitment, membership. What will be happening is that Joseph Nima Boakai and Ure will be going to court the whole damn day. They and our lawyers can spend time in the court while we move in and engage the voters. Alexander Cummings is already supporting a massive women empowerment program in Margibi. Politicians that have been waiting for the CPP process to be concluded will now start joining. And in the end, people like progress. People like where there's order and unity. Gradually, most level-headed people will join the system that is working. They're not going to follow. They're not going to follow something that's full of confusion. Because mind you, as soon as the government sees that there's no advantage in helping Joseph Boakai anymore, because while they are helping Joseph Nima Boakai with a play case in court, Cummings, as the head of a united CPP, is moving ahead. He is holding rallies across the country. Once they can see cohesion on the other side, they will lose interest in Joseph Nima Boakai and his draft story. And this morning, I was listening to the Costa show. Oh yeah, I was listening because Bernard and Ure were on there swearing how he never stole money from the government coffers. Can you imagine? You really think was stupid. You talk about that portrait that chicken egg. You may say money came from chicken egg. He sold chicken egg to get money to buy a Lone Star Cell to establish Lone Star Cell. Yeah, chief was stupid. That chicken egg. That chicken egg story. that chicken egg you stole. Yeah. I mean sold. Okay, we believe you. The crazy cow that came to Kingsburg, we ate it. Nonsense. But when you look at the whole Malawala and Balawala production that happened this morning on the Costa show, where Ure tried to clean his reputation and position himself, that boy is convinced that he can be number 2 to Boakai. That's a sense in which, I mean, that's what I get. And that's not the role the government wants him to play. That's not the role he has been paid to play. His job is simple: destroy the CPP. Destroy the CPP. That's his job. So he thinks he's on his way somewhere he's not going. And Joseph Nima Boakai is confused. He doesn't have his own strategy. And so he just implemented things when I carried on him, implementing things. Joseph Nima Boakai has gone into bed with George Manneh Weah, and he will come out the victim. He will be discredited in the eyes of the Liberian voters. When I told you in the public that there is a triangle, there's a Weah, Ure, and Boakai triangle, people were doubting me. That is supported by Nyomli and Dillon. Yesterday, Abraham Darius Dillon opened his own mouth and said when the rate of arrest was being issued for Cummings, he was on the phone with George Weah, and that he agreed to work along with George Weah in the legislature. How else you want a man to say? This morning, Ure was on Costa show, where he said he sees Weah as a brother, and that anytime he calls Weah answers. So if you got that kind of relationship with the president of the republic, why would you want to change that president? Why should we believe that you actually want to change that president? I mean, you think it was stupid. The same way he said that he made his money by selling chicken egg. Yeah, right. So God is exposing them. These are the people who said it was Musa Hassan billeted as agent of the government. Now we hear him showering praises on we are. These are the people that are going to fight George Manning we are and make him a one-term president, half-hearted, double dealing. It's not possible. And so that case, the strongest thing in that case was we file arrest, rate of arrest. That's it. Nothing coherent you will go explain over there. Nothing. Dumb. It's not going to say, there's nothing. Nothing is going to come of this. And we're going to treat it as such. We're going to treat it as such. The most important thing are the next steps that the CPP will take. The CPP under the leadership of Alexander Benedict Cummings, because he is the consensus candidate of the CPP now. We don't need a convention. Liberty Party has already endorsed him. ANC has endorsed him. We are the only two parties in the coalition. So we are going now to a convention at which we will jointly proclaim him the standard bearer of the CPP. And then recruit other political parties and politicians to join us. This is how we move forward. Let Ure and his less busy Joseph Newman Boakai, who this man was at the very top. Joseph Boakai reached the highest level you can reach as an opposition person. Now the only road he is taking now is down and down and down and down and down. He has numbers, but he keeps losing it. Joseph Newman Boakai is, for the second time, destroying his chance to become president by following crazy-headed strategies that don't make sense. Joseph Boakai was in Liberia here. Everybody regarded him. He woke up. He started a campaign message of division, talking about he the indigenous people president and blah, 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 blah. Limited his chances. This man was in the background in politics. Ellen took him and brought him to the front, to the limelight, from Wasonga to White House. Ellen Johnson said he made that happen. How somebody persuaded Joseph Newman Boakai that Ellen doesn't like him, I don't know. He jumped on, he won the war with Ellen. Useless war. Useless war. Miscalculated. Where is the woman pay that he was supporting? Where is the Vanish Shemon that was his best friend? Another miscalculation and another missed opportunity. Have a very good relationship with Alexander Cummings. You decide to listen to gossip and take other people's political agenda and put it on your head. You are now, as your relationship with Cummings is strained. Let's just imagine. Let's just imagine that Unity Party is serious, that Boakai is not just preparing it to rack it. Let's just pretend that Joseph Newman Boakai is actually running in 2023. Let's pretend. If you are running in 2023 and it's clear that if you run, you will go to second round, don't you think you will be mindful that if Ure is taking Cummings to court and I'm a party to it, and I enter the second round and Cummings is unable to enter that second round, I will need Cummings support, and that this would damage my chance of getting Cummings on my side? Oh, so you will take Cummings' name and drag it through the mud. And even if Cummings endorse you, will his supporters vote for you? Let's just pretend that Joseph Newman Boakai is actually running for office. Because he's not. I submit to you, Boakai is fooling all of his supporters, including Ure, and Ure is also fooling Boakai. These are deceptive people deceiving one another, and so therefore, they are collectively weak. All Ure wanted, he has gotten from this deal. The next vanity project is to try to be, if I can get try my luck, if I become, some kind of way I can be running mate, I try my luck. But Ure's real deal, the real deal for Ure here was what he has done. Cause confusion, cause commotion, and get Joseph Newman Boakai out of the CPP. That's it. That's Ure's deal. You see Costa and all of them acting weak about the whole CPP thing. It's because their objectives have been met. Ure was irrelevant after the election results came out. He had a mere 20-something thousand votes. He was not supposed to be a stakeholder. But his support for Joseph Newman Boakai gave him a seat at the table. It was Boakai who pushed for US ALP to be added to CPP. Because the CPP was supposed to be the big boys league. There was no basis to include Ure, apart from his support to Boakai. For the government, for even George Manneh, we have to be talking to Ure on a daily basis, as Ure himself has admitted, is because of his proximity to Boakai. Ure political relevance is premised on his support for Boakai. If Ure says tomorrow morning, I'm not supporting Joseph Newman Boakai, Ure is a political nobody. Useless. The other important thing he had was control over a party that had membership in the CPP. He had thrown that away, using it as a grenade. Finish. Joseph Newman Boakai also knows that he does not have the energy. He doesn't have the energy. He doesn't have the resources to prosecute a campaign, to take we are on. He doesn't. But he's pretending as though he wants to. Because unless you are a candidate, you cannot be bought out. Unless you are a credible threat, you cannot be bought out. So Joseph Newman Boakai is campaigning not for president. He is campaigning for retirement. He is campaigning for retirement. All this working, he's working with the government now to undermine Cummings and to put Cummings under pressure, is to revive his standing. Because if you leave the CPP and there is no external fight targeting the Unity Party will start fracturing. They will turn on themselves, and Boakai will get back on the ropes. Joe Boakai ain't got no money to maintain Unity Party, to maintain unity in Unity Party. He gets steady pressure. He don't complain to people that go and see him, that people call him all day, say they supported him, they're asking him for money that he doesn't have. Go visit Joseph Boakai, he'll complain to you all day. And so this old man wants to get out, but he wants to get out with something. And that is his motive. He was hoping that you and them were all food. You and them were cutting their own deals. Henry Costa, for being the loudest mouth behind Boakai, already now has a deal with the government. All of these individuals are cutting deals. They've cut their deals. That they don't want to be vice president. But if it's not possible, he won't cut a deal with George Weah, because Darius DeLong have to do something for the Liberian people. He has to do something in Monserrado. He put a hand behind this rehab project. To finish it, that's not small thing. To run it, even more difficult. He's looking for a way that he can put a project in the budget. And so Darius DeLong got his own interests. The only people who don't have interest are the ordinary supporters. Those who don't receive the $2 scratch card. They don't know what's happening. Joseph Boakai ain't get time for who become president. He wants to retire. But he will not get anything if he doesn't act strong, act like a major threat. That is it. It's all showmanship, folks. It's all showmanship. The two men running for president, Alexander Benedict Cummings and George Manuel Weah. And the government is going to work, the deep state, the government institutions like the courts, the police, local authorities, they will be used in fighting Alexander Cummings. So if Cummings wants to win in 2023, he has to prepare to withstand the pressure of the deep state. The deep state is going to now work with the losers in the CPP process. That's the Joseph Nima Boakai, the Bernard Wilfred Ure. They want to show them up and try to distract Cummings. But if Cummings continue to forge ahead and continue to show coherence, the losing faction in the CPP will become irrelevant. Because if Cummings can move forward despite them trying to hold him back, then they'll be useless. Because they are only useful to the deep state, they're only useful to the government if they can stall Cummings. If Cummings now takes all his energy in 2022 and pour it into this useless fight with Ure and start spending money on that and focusing on it and forget to run his presidential campaign while George Manuel Weah is running projects around the country, giving people motorbikes, giving scholarships around the country. That will not happen. Cummings will not be distracted. Neither will he be deterred. We will unravel the biggest presidential campaign you've ever seen in this country, and we'll forge ahead and capture the presidency from George Manuel Weah. Cummings, remember, Cummings will not win because he's popular. Cummings is going to win because he's the only alternative, and he is the most organized person in opposition. He will build the biggest alliance because he has the energy, the drive, the courage, the commitment, and the resources to make it happen, to pay for activities. But his strength comes from his consensus building talent. You know, nobody can be popular to the extent that you capture the Liberian presidency on your own. You have to be a consensus builder. And that is a skill that Joseph Numa Boakai lacks. He believes in big names. He went for Darius DeLong, he went for Jumbly. Cummings focus on institution building. He doesn't care about big name. He cares about putting plenty, he wants people to work together. He's putting together an alliance. Because Cummings knows on his own he doesn't have the popularity to win, he will be more humble, he will be more understanding, he will be more reasonable when he talks to people that have constituencies. Cummings does not have the biggest constituency, but his approach will give him and make him attractive to people that got constituencies across the country. And so Cummings is able to build a web of over 150 politicians, popular in different parts of the country, at different levels, that will overwhelm the Joseph Numa Boakai machinery, or the George Weah machinery, because the Joseph Numa Boakai machinery is not going to come to war. People who want change, who are supporting Joseph Numa Boakai, when he finished disappointing them and he doesn't show up on the ballot, who do you think they're going to go vote for? If your salary was cut, you were working in the civil service, your salary was cut, the so-called harmonization negatively affected you. So because Joseph Numa Boakai is not on the ballot, you will forego your chance to express your anger or dissatisfaction at that? No. If you are a Liberian that's out of work, that used to work before, but because of the downward spiral of the economy, you no longer have a job and you're angry, so you're not going to go vote because Joseph Numa Boakai is not on the ballot? No. Absolutely not. The angry people who want change are still going to vote for change. The person who will benefit from this is the opposition leader that is organized and that makes it onto the ballot. Right now, the only person that looks like they're determined, that they're clear in their mind that they're going to be running in 2023 in the opposition is Cummings. Nobody else. Nobody else. So when you go talk to Boakai, you say, oh, you see what Ellen did to me. Oh, you see what Cummings did. You don't see organization. You don't see teams being built. All you hear are radio poll, radio poll, radio poll. The election will not be done on radio. Go in the communities and see Cummings here and work there. Go and see people that are on Cummings programs. Boakai, they're winning polls. Hold their polls. These polls where 5% can vote 100 times. They're winning polls. All of this is marketing, political marketing, perception management. You can win all the polls and you lose the election. Joseph Numa Boakai knows this. He knows the propaganda wing of the Unity Party. He knows that Mua leading can set the beginning up. He knows all of this. But some people in the Unity Party are getting high on their own supply. You know, you create your own lie, then you let your lie fool you. This is not going to come down to polls. It's going to come down to organization. Who can reach in all the interior? Who can reach out to our people and talk to them? The voters will vote for who engages them, not who you think in your head they should vote for. They're not going to vote for a laid-back person. You got to be able to reach the voter to win the voter. We're not seeing the preparation. We're not seeing the organization from the Boakai side. And we have intelligence that he doesn't want to run. His family doesn't want him to run. His health will not permit him to run. It will not be wise for him to run. So as it's 11 o'clock, let me summarize. Alexander B. Cummings is in court because Joseph Numa Boakai has lost the CPP race and he's angry. He is being used by the government to try and distract Cummings and take away from his energy and lock him down in a useless merry-go-round legal situation. Cummings has figured this out, and from what I hear, he's iron-focused on moving forward with his campaign for president. He is the head of CPP now by consensus, because all of the parties in the CPP have consented that Cummings is their man. ANC and the Liberty Party. That's the membership of the CPP now. Unity Party said they're going. So Joseph Numa Boakai should not be addressed as chairman. That's the next level we're getting to. Thanks for being there, and see you tomorrow on a brand new edition of the Dumoy Factor.